everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Valerie. I'm here today to talk to you about print awareness. And the reason that I'm here is because I think print awareness is one of those really crucial parts of literacy development that we don't often talk about. And print awareness is the idea or the understanding that books and words have meaning, and that the books that we read contain information. I think a lot of the times that children are going to pick this up naturally, and most of the time they do pick this up naturally, except that if you teach it explicitly, if you teach your child how to hold a book and that we read from left to right, and you sit down with them and you really explain to them the mechanics of how books work, you give them a little bit of an extra edge when it comes to developing literacy. So let me explain. When you're reading with your child, a lot of the times we have books, especially parents who have very neat and organized houses. You have books that you want to read with your kids, but you don't actually want them to touch it because you don't want them to mess up the page or tear the page. That's totally fine. I'm not judging you, but it doesn't give your child the opportunity to touch the book and to hold the book. And so what board books do is they actually are a way for children to touch them and play with them and kind of feel them in a way that is very tactile and makes books a lot more real for them. I went to the library recently and I found a few board books that I wanted to highlight for you as examples. This board book here, as you can see, it has no love, right? The pages are straight. It's very clean. This book, however, this Eric Carle book, you can see it's all ripped at the top. The pages are wonky. It's probably been in quite a few mouths, which is honestly a little bit disgusting, but I'm a teacher, so I'm used to it. Letting them hold it, letting them touch it, reading the story to them, right? You can count how many giraffes are in the book. You can ask them what color are the giraffes. You can show them the progression, right? On the first page, you'll find that the train only has the very front of the train, and then we pick up one, and then there are two on the next page. You can talk about the little mouse, right? The little mouse is, I think, a lot of the kids' favorite part of the book because they want to find the mouse on each page. You can talk about how the animals look. Are they scared? Do they look friendly? I don't know about that bear. That bear looks a little bit shocked, if you ask me. You can talk about whether or not you'd want to be on the train with any of these animals. You can, if they've never seen a seal before, you can go on Google and you can show them pictures of what seals look like in real life. It doesn't have to be a linear story, but the more that you read the story with them, the more they'll get the understanding that the story is linear, if that makes sense. But these are really important for kids, and it's really important that you let them experience the books in their hands. So while you definitely want to read books in a way that you are reading to them, you also want to give them the opportunity to go through and explore books by themselves. The other thing I wanted to highlight was when your child gets a little bit older and they really do understand the idea of books going from left to right and from top to bottom, they're going to start noticing the letters and the words. Now, when your child starts to really pick up and learn that there are words on a page, that's when I would really recommend getting those books that have rhyming words or that have a lot of repetition. So, for example, when you're going on a bear hunt, right? You're going on a bear hunt or Not Scared. It says the same lines over and over and over again. So the kids have memorized the words. They're not reading yet. They've just memorized it. But when they get to the page, if your reading finger is right there and you're reading the word that they've read many, many times because they've memorized it, they're going to start to make connections with those things. The book I chose is called Chugga Chugga Choo Choo. And as you can imagine, Chugga Chugga Choo Choo comes up over and over and over again in the story. And it begins with Chugga Chugga Choo Choo. You've read this a million times. You're probably really tired of hearing it. But now that you've done it and you've read it so many times, now it's time for your kids to help you read it, right? So put your finger here, let them say chugga chugga, and every time they say it, your finger moves with them. Chugga chugga choo choo, okay? You're not explaining the letters. You're not really going over the words yet. This is still the print awareness stage. You're just kind of going through the motions so that in their brain, they're making a connection between your words and their words and the visuals on the page. Okay. It's the same with the numbers. They're not really understanding what the numbers are yet. Maybe they can count, but they're still really in this world where it doesn't all make sense, but they're kind of making connections. That's why. Okay. Another thing you can do is keep turning the page, make them say it every time you come to it. You can pretend that the pages are stuck together and they can't come apart. Have your child pull them apart for you. It's really good for their fine motor skills. You can turn the book upside down and try reading it that way. Your kids are going to be so incensed. And that's my favorite thing to do, is when you turn it upside down and you start reading it, they're like, what are you doing? Or when you read the story wrong. That's my favorite. When you go chugga chugga beep beep and the kids are like, what is she doing? She's lost her mind. She doesn't know how to read. That's the best. Okay. These are meant to get dirty. Let them get dirty. That's okay. You just want to make sure that you are going through all the steps of how to read the book. Even if they seem very small, any leap of logic that they don't have to make is really beneficial for literacy, print awareness, and literacy development. Again, once your child gets a little bit older and they're at that point where they're starting to repeat little words, these sorts of books that have a lot of repetitive sounds and repetitive words are really good for them. Your child's going to keep progressing through that print awareness stage, right? Now they can say the words, they recognize the words, they know what's coming up in the book. They might even be able to put their finger on chugga chugga every time you read it. They're starting to get their letters down, right? They're starting to recognize that certain letters mean certain things. Maybe you've talked to them about how to spell their name, little things like that. Definitely not at the point where they're reading, but still on their way, making progress. You've got these really good books like Potty Power, which is about potty training, and you've got Black Cat, White Cat, and they really like these books, but they're starting to learn their alphabet. Now, before they start going into letter recognition completely, what I would like to mention is, see these letters? The chugga chugga here on the A, and then the cat, Black Cat, White Cat A. These A's are really tricky. So if you find that your child is starting to make connections with the letters and you want them to start recognizing letters, letter recognition, which is kind of the next step, make sure that when you're pointing out the letters, you're pointing out the letters that they're going to be writing and that they need to be familiar with first. They will learn these. They will absolutely learn these. But when you're teaching the ones that are coming up first, make sure it's these. It'll make their lives a lot easier, and then you won't have to explain a million times why A is written so ridiculously. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to mention, kids really like these books, and when there's a lot of text, when it's a text-heavy book like this, it's fine. I think kids enjoy these books. I don't have anything really bad to say about these books, so it's not negative. But when you are trying to teach them that there are words and that those words have meaning, it is actually a little bit easier to start with books that have fewer words, because these are a little bit overwhelming, especially when everything is in all caps. You can see it's all caps. So these are really good books, and I think this is actually one of my favorite books about potty training. But keep it simple. Children, when they're first starting to read, when my students were first starting to read, they were reading 3-word sentences. So they weren't starting with 7 or 8 words. If you notice that the book has words that have more than 5 words, more than 4 words really, then that's probably too much. If you want them to start reading, start with the really small books, short sentences, and then read them 1,000 times. That's really going to give them the edge in reading and literacy development before they get into actual reading. So this is print awareness, right? The next video is going to be on letter recognition, and that's when we're going to start moving into whether or not to start with capital or lowercase and how that works. So make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button if you would like to be updated on our next video. Thank you so much for being here. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.